Imagine firing 9,000 people and earning the nickname the Terminator, then becoming the richest person on Earth with a $240 billion fortune. This is the untold story of Bernard Arnault, the man who turned luxury into the world's most profitable empire. What he did next will shock you. What's up, everyone? Today we're diving deep into one of the most fascinating business stories ever told. Bernard Arnault, a name you might not recognize, but he owns brands you definitely know: Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, Tiffany Co, Dom P. Rignan, and 71 other luxury brands. This is the story of how a French engineer with $15 million turned himself into the world's richest man, building an empire worth over $380 billion. But his path wasn't paved with kindness. It was ruthless, calculated, and absolutely brilliant. Let's get into it. T.E. Hembiali Beguiming Bernard Jean-Etienne Arnault was born on March 5, 1949 in Roubaix, France. Now let me be clear, Bernard wasn't born poor. His father, Jean Arnault, owned a civil engineering company called Ferret Savinel, and his mother was a pianist with a fascination for dire fashion. He grew up in a devoutly Catholic household, one of 5 children in a comfortable middle-class family. Young Bernard was described as intelligent and ambitious from an early age. He took classical piano lessons and attended Catholic schools. But here's what's interesting. Despite his privileged upbringing, he wasn't handed an empire. He had to build it himself. In 1971, Bernard graduated from École Polytechnique, one of France's most prestigious engineering schools, with a degree in civil engineering and mathematics. Fresh out of university, he did what many sons would do. He joined his father's construction business. But Bernard Arnault wasn't content with just running a construction company. Tichi fait bodel movi at just 25 years old, Bernard convinced his father to do something radical: sell the construction side of the business and pivot entirely to real estate. Think about that for a second. Most 25-year-olds are just starting their careers, but Bernard was already reshaping his family's entire business model. The move paid off. By 1979, he renamed the company F.A. Renal Inc., and the real estate business was booming. Bernard then traveled to the United States, hoping to expand his father's empire there. And this is where fate intervened. One day in New York, Bernard got into a taxi. The driver, recognizing Bernard's French accent, started talking about French fashion, specifically Christian Dior. But here's the kicker. The driver knew all about Dior but had no idea who the French president was. That moment changed everything. Bernard realized something profound: fashion, specifically luxury fashion, had global power that transcended politics and geography. A taxi driver in New York knew Dior better than France's own leader. Bernard saw the future, and it was wrapped in luxury. Tichiqi started in 1984, opportunity knocked, and Bernard kicked the door down. He learned that Boussic's Saint Ferrez, a massive but bankrupt textile conglomerate, was up for sale. Buried within this failing company was a gem: Christian Dior. Now, most people saw Boussac as a disaster. It was hemorrhaging money, bloated with unprofitable divisions, and thousands of employees. But Bernard saw through the chaos. He saw Dior, one of the most prestigious fashion houses in the world, just waiting to be rescued. With the $15 million from his family's money, Bernard partnered with the French bank Lazard Frères to raise $80 million total to purchase Boussic's Saint Frères. But here's where Bernard earned his infamous nickname. Once he took control, he did something brutal but strategic. He fired 9,000 workers over 2 years. He sold off nearly all of Boussic's assets, everything except Christian Dior and the department store Le Bon Marché. He raised $500 million from these sales. The French media called him the Terminator and the Wolf in Cashmere. He was ruthless, cold, calculating. But it worked. By 1987, Christian Dior was profitable again, generating $112 million in earnings from $1.9 billion in revenue. Bernard had proven he could turn around a luxury brand, but he wasn't satisfied with just one. CEO of LVMH. Now let's talk about the move that would cement Bernard Arnault as a business legend: the creation and takeover of LVMH. In 1987, 2 iconic French luxury companies, Louis Vuitton and Moët Hennessy, merged to form LVMH. It should have been a marriage made in heaven, combining the world's greatest leather goods maker with a legendary champagne and spirits company. But there was a problem. The 2 leaders, Louis Vuitton's Henri Récamier and Moët Hennessy's Alain Chevalier, couldn't stand each other. Internal conflicts were tearing the company apart. Récamier, desperate for an ally, reached out to Bernard Arnault. He invited Bernard to invest in LVMH to help him push out his rival. Récamier suggested Bernard acquire 25% of LVMH stock, promising the Vuitton family's support. Bernard agreed, but he had other plans. While Récamier thought he was getting a partner, Bernard was playing a completely different game. Over the next 2 years, Bernard quietly bought up shares of LVMH from the open market, going far beyond the 25% Récamier had suggested. By 1989, Bernard owned 43 LVMH shares and controlled 35% of its voting rights. He had become LVMH's largest shareholder, and then he did the unthinkable. He pushed out the very man who invited him in. Henri Récamier was forced to resign. Bernard Arnault, at just 40 years old, became chairman and CEO of LVMH. Récamier sued. The case dragged through courts for years and got ugly in the press. But Bernard won. He had executed one of the most brilliant hostile takeovers in business history. The empire with LVMH under his control, Bernard went on an acquisition spree. His strategy was simple but revolutionary. Buy the world's most prestigious luxury brands and give them creative freedom while providing them with LVMH's massive distribution network and resources. Over the next 3 decades, Bernard acquired Givenchy in 1988, Kenzo and Berluti Celine and Louis, the jeweler Fred Joaillier, beauty retailer Sephora, Fendi in 2001, Bulgari in 2011, Tiffany Co. In 2021 for $15.8 billion, the largest luxury acquisition ever. But Bernard didn't just buy brands, he revolutionized them. In 1995, he appointed British designer John Galliano to replace Hubert de Givenchy, shocking the fashion world. A year later, he moved Galliano to Christian Dior and brought in Alexander McQueen to Givenchy. These bold creative choices revitalized these historic fashion houses. He hired young American designer Marc Jacobs as creative director at Louis Vuitton, transforming it from a leather goods company into a fashion powerhouse. Bernard's genius was understanding that luxury brands needed both heritage and modernity. As he said, they are timeless, and they are at the utmost level of modernity. But Richest many into world by 2021, LVMH had become a monster. The company owned 75 luxury brands across fashion, jewelry, wines, spirits, perfumes, and cosmetics. It had stores in over 70 countries, and Bernard's fortune had reached astronomical heights. In April 2023, Bernard Arnault's net worth peaked at $240.7 billion according to Forbes, making him the richest person in the world, surpassing Elon Musk. For over a year, Bernard and Elon traded the top spot back and forth as stock prices fluctuated. But here's what's remarkable: even when LVMH stock dropped 18% in 2024, reducing his wealth by $54 billion, Bernard still ranked among the top 5 richest people on earth with $1 in $77 billion. By early 2025, his net worth stood at around $155 billion. Bernard's stake in LVMH, approximately 48%, accounts for 97% of his total wealth. Under his leadership, LVMH became the largest company by market capitalization in the entire Eurozone. At 76 years old, Bernard Arnault shows no signs of slowing down. He still works 12-hour days and personally visits stores every Saturday morning, inspecting every detail from product displays to staff uniforms. In 2022, he changed LVMH's legal structure to ensure his family maintains control over the company for generations. His 5 children all hold key positions within LVMH: Delphine Arnault, CEO of Christian Dior; Antoine Arnault, head of communications and image; Alexander Arnault, executive VP at Tiffany Co. And his 2 other children in various executive roles. Bernard forced his board to extend the CEO retirement age from 75 to 80, just so he could stay longer. Warren Buffett reportedly sent him a letter saying he should have made it even higher. Beyond business, Bernard is a major art collector and philanthropist. He established the Fondation Louis Vuitton in 2014, a stunning contemporary art museum in Paris designed by Frank Gehry. Controversial side, but Bernard's story isn't without controversy. His ruthless business tactics earned him nicknames like the Great Predator of Luxury and the Pope of Fashion. In 2012, when France planned to increase taxes on the wealthy, Bernard applied for Belgian citizenship, sparking national outrage. He later withdrew the application, but it revealed his complex relationship with his home country. His secret attempt to acquire a 20% stake in competitor Hermes through subsidiaries and equity swaps was seen as underhanded, further cementing his reputation as a cunning businessman willing to do whatever it takes to win. If you found Bernard Arnault's story as fascinating as I did, smash that like button. His journey shows that success often comes from seeing value where others see failure, taking calculated risks, and never being satisfied with the status quo. What do you think about Bernard's ruthless tactics? Were they necessary, or did he go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective! And hey, if you want more incredible business stories like this, stories about how ordinary people built extraordinary empires, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We're diving deep into the lives of the world's most successful entrepreneurs every single week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay ambitious.